Kind of a scrambling at the last minute? Or?
First of all, hello, Cody.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
good to see you.
It's good to see you, Rod.
Good to see you. We met here at the Carnegie Center for Literacy and Learning in Lexington, Kentucky on January 28th,
Yep.
when I was honored to be the inductor for my friend Hunter S. Thompson into the Kentucky Writers Hall of Fame. And that night, another friend of mine Wendell Berry, became the first living author to be inducted into the Kentucky Writers Hall of Fame. So yes, 10 years after Hunter died, he finally gets inducted into the Hall of Fame. But and a year ago, he was inducted into the Kentucky Journalism Hall of Fame, which, yeah, you can laugh at that, you can laugh about it, scoff at it. You know, one of the most famous journalists and writers of all time, it takes 10 years after his death for him to be inducted into Journalism and Writing Halls of Fame in Kentucky, in his home state. But my feeling is, having started 20 years ago to get Louisville, Hunter's hometown, and Kentucky, Hunter's home state, to honor and acknowledge, respect him, our native son. I started in '94 in that process, so I'm just relieved that it's finally happening. And I'm excited too that folks, hey look, you know, I taught college and university for over 20 years. I love Irish literature, Scandinavian literature. I taught 20th century European literature and writing. It took Dublin, Ireland, decades and decades to put a statue up of James Joyce. You know, after William Shakespeare, James Joyce and Virginia Woolf are the two greatest writers in the history of English literature. So it's everything's a process, and people resist change, and but the greatest writers have all been iconoclasts and rule breakers, law breakers. They go their own way, and Hunter S. Thompson was certainly an iconoclast. And so that brings us to Gonzo Fest. Thank you. Cody and I met here at the induction ceremony. And so thank you for introducing yourself, Cody, and for becoming a staff writer for Gonzo today.
It's an honor for me.
Hey,
it's an honor. It's great.
Hey, I'm honored to be to have been asked by Clayton Luce, editor-in-chief, and David Pratt, managing editor of Gonzo Today, to be their poetry editor. And I told them, when they invited me, I said, okay, guys, look, it's an honor. I'll be honored to do that, but it'll be an honorary position, really, because I'm constantly working on 25 to 50. I maintain that level of collaborations, collaborative, creative projects with folks around the world. So I'm going in different directions simultaneously all the time, but I keep up with everything that's posted, everything that comes through the doors at Gonzo Today. And so Gonzo Fest, this is our 5th anniversary. It was founded by my friend Denny Humphrey, the owner of the Monkey Wrench, international Gonzo Fest Louisville headquarters in the heart of the Highlands in Louisville, Kentucky. The Highlands, near Cherokee Park, was Hunter S. Thompson's stomping ground. It's where Hunter grew up. And Hunter, despite what anybody says, anybody disagrees with me on this subject, and people disagree with me on most everything, but on this subject, if you disagree with me, you're wrong, jackass. And because Hunter he had a love-hate relationship with Louisville, but he loved Louisville, and he missed Louisville, and he talked about it often. Ask his son, Juan, ask his widow, Anita, they'll tell you. And so Denny Humphrey called me one day, this was 2010, he said, Ron, my buddy Joe Windling and I have been talking. We want to start to honor Hunter in his hometown here in Louisville we want to have a Gonzo Fest at the Monkey Wrench, but I'm not going to do it unless you come on board and help me produce it and host it. And so Danny and I had some talks, and I said, yes, definitely, let's do it. It's about damn time. And so we've had a Gonzo Fest. There were 3 of them, and then in the fall of 2013, Jake Mahaffey, young rebel poet in Louisville, I was walking down East Market Street, the New Louisville district, which is created by my friend Gil Scott Holland, an urban planner, mover and shaker, filmmaker there in Louisville. And Jake Mahaffey yelled at me, and that was the first time I'd met him. Well, no, second time. We had met at a concert I hosted for the Dirty Derby. My buddy Tommy Hardenbrook, great writer there in Louisville. And Jake said, you got to meet Mike Maloney. And so I said, okay, but I was too busy that day. A week later, I got a phone call. Mike Maloney's the Mayor Greg Fisher's manager for special events in Louisville. And Mike and Jake Mahaffey and Denny Humphrey and I had a meeting at Slugger Field on Main Street in Louisville. There's a statue of Pee Wee Reese, Hall of Fame baseball player who, with his friendship, Louisville native, Pee Wee Reese, with his friendship with Jackie Robinson. It was that act that one day when Jackie Robinson, the first black player in Major League Sports, was receiving death threats. The fans were yelling at him, throwing stuff on the field, and Pee Wee's son, Mark Reese, Hollywood filmmaker, longtime friend of mine. Pee Wee stepped over, put his arm, Pee Wee was playing shortstop. I'm a baseball player. I love baseball and basketball. I'm an athlete, have been all my life. He put his arm around Jackie's shoulders when the fans were yelling, and he just started a conversation there in the middle of the game in the field until all of the fans shut up. And that was groundbreaker. People began to accept the first black athlete into pro sports, Jackie Robinson at that time. Pee Wee Reese's statue is in front of Slugger Field there. So that's where we had the meeting. Talking about sports fans, Hunter S. Thompson loves sports. And I was with him sometimes when he watched the games and he bet on the games. He'd bet on individual plays, not just on games. So we had a meeting there at Slugger Field. And Mike said, Ron, the city wants to come on board and finally and help you and Denny blow this thing up. You know, I love to blow things up. I love to shoot guns. I grew up on a farm, an expert marksman. My dad was the best shot around anywhere. And Hunter loved to blow stuff up and shoot guns. So we blew it up. We put together what I call the Magnificent Seven. It's a great movie. And the Gonzo Fest production team, it's the best. I produced 3,000 arts events throughout Europe and the United States. And this is the best production team I've ever worked with. And so we worked for 6 months around the clock. Well, I had no idea that when Mike said, hey, Ron, we want you to come on board and we want to blow this Gonzo Fest up, and we want it to be a real cultural happening for the city of Louisville to honor Hunter S. Thompson in his hometown. I said, it's about damn time. Okay, let's do it. I said, but nobody's going to make any money off this. Any money that's earned will go directly into the funding of future ways. My 14 ways. After Hunter died, he killed himself February the 20th, 2005. I wrote 13 suggestions for Louisville to honor Hunter S. Thompson in his hometown. I added a 14th one, which is Keep Louisville Gonzo, an idea I came up with. But so now we've started fulfilling those 14 ways to honor Hunter. And the first one was, I said nobody's going to earn any money from the Gonzo Fest because Denny and I were already working it that way. Any money that we make will go into building the banner, the giant banner, which came to pass with Ralph Steadman's help. Ralph has been so supportive of everything we've done. Our goal for Gonzo Fest 2014, and the reason we didn't have a Gonzo Fest in 2013 was because it took us 6 months. We took that time to create, to prepare for 6 days and 6 nights, 17 venues and events. From March the 31st to April the 5th, 2014, Gonzo Fest Louisville shook the streets of Louisville with everything that was going on. Mayor Greg Fisher officially proclaimed, at my suggestion, I woke up at 3 a.m. one morning, which I do frequently with these ideas and visions come to me, and I woke up at 3 a.m. and thought, Hunter's Gonzoville. Let's change the name of the city. So I went, our next Friday meeting, I went to Mike Maloney. I said, Mike, do you think the mayor will change the name of Louisville to Gonzo, Hunter's Gonzoville? And he said, I'll get it done. And he did. And so the mayor showed up on our last day as part of the unveiling of the giant banner,
Stedman was there last year, right?
Which had Ralph Steadman sent me 38 images of Hunter, photos and paintings that he did, and we selected unanimously the most historic portrait. The first time Hunter officially sat for a portrait, which Ralph Steadman did, that's the one we chose for the banner. And then I asked Ralph Steadman, if he would do one of his splatter artworks of the words Hunter's Gonzoville, which we added to the banner, and the banner is now up. The mayor at the big ceremony, April the 5th, the last day of Gonzo Fest 2014, the mayor read the official proclamation renaming, an honorary renaming of the city of Louisville to Hunter's Gonzoville. And so we've got that on the records. I've got the official document. I had copies made for the Monkey Wrench and for a few other people. And so that's in the history books. The banner is on the side of the Bristol Bar and Grill on Bardstown Road in the heart of the Highlands, Hunter's stomping ground. And when, in December the 12th, 1996, when I produced the official Hunter S. Thompson tribute, I brought Hunter in, I brought Bob Broadus, Hunter's bodyguard, the sheriff of Pitkin County, great guy, and I brought Hunter's mom, Virginia, who retired as a librarian at the main branch of the Free Louisville Library, which our goal in two years from now, this year, is to raise some money for a bronze, life-size bronze statue of Hunter. Matthew Ware is our incredible young sculptor, renowned sculptor. He's our official sculptor. He will unveil at this year's Gonzo Fest the model with the plans. It's going to be expensive. We've already got the foundry. Barney Bright's son has a foundry in Louisville. Matthew works for him. That's where we're going to have the model will be cast and the bronze statue will be made. It's going to cost tens of thousands of dollars. So that stuff ain't cheap. A bronze statue ain't cheap. So, yeah, no. I started to think of another wild-ass story about stealing a statue and recasting it. No, we can't do that.
Hunter would probably like that.
Yeah, he would. Yeah. So then our goal for Gonzo Fest 2016 will be to unveil the life-size bronze statue and Ralph Steadman. Guess what? It's so awesome. I'm reading and injecting a few words into this conversation that's going on between Matthew Ware, the sculptor, and Ralph Steadman, who has come on board as an advisor for the design for Matt. And so I'm getting this behind the scenes view, and it's so awesome to have Ralph Steadman and Hunter S. Thompson, the two kings of Gonzo. It's just perfect for Ralph to be giving Matt his view of not quite that, yeah, how about this, and offering him some designs that's helping Matt shape what's going to end up being the final product, which I'm really hoping my goal initially it was, Cherokee Park is the most historic park in Louisville. At the entrance, the main entrance, there's a bronze statue of Daniel Boone with his long rifle. And my suggestion was move that statue of Daniel Boone to Boone County and replace it with a statue of Hunter S. Thompson with the gonzo fist with the peyote button and a typewriter. And so, you know, I don't know what the end look will be of the statue. And I'm sure, what are the odds? Hey, maybe some night we could sneak over there with a big pickup, some kind of a big machine, and lift that Daniel Boone statue and just haul it secretly up to Boone County.
I'd do it.
No, well, there's more than one entrance to Cherokee Park, so our goal is to get that statue placed at one of the main entrances to Cherokee Park, because that's where Hunter spent so much time. And then the year after, our goal is to, which is one of my initial goals, is to rename the Louisville Free Public Library at 4th and York, downtown Louisville, the Virginia and Hunter S. Thompson Louisville Free Public Library.
Perfect.
And so after our last year's festival, the mayor got me aside and said, Ron, know this. Anything you do, count me in. So he's on board with us now. We got the city behind us finally, and so I talked with Mike Maloney about this renaming of the library for our 2-year from now goal, and he said it shouldn't be a problem. So I got my fingers crossed on that one. So okay, this year we're moving to down on the banks of the Ohio River. We're big concerts, the City of Louisville and Radio Louisville, WFPK 91.9 FM have their Waterfront Wednesdays, the last Wednesday of every month. Thousands of people come to those shows. That's where we're going to have Gonzo Fest this year, on the Ohio River Waterfront Harbor Lawn. You can get several thousand people in there. There's a beautiful stage, and the stage, people will be facing the Ohio River and the bridge. It's a great setting. So I'm working to manifest beautiful, like 72-degree sunny weather for Saturday, April the 11th. And we got.
I'll work with you. I'll do my best.
Oh, good.
I'll do my best.
Good. We've got a lot of bands will be performing. Spoken word. We got a spoken word stage, and I'm honored. I'll be presenting the State of Gonzo keynote address with there's some surprises in store. So hope everybody will
Looking forward to
come out to see what's happening. We've got this bring Bill to the Ville, Bill Murray. We're doing everything we can. It's a great idea, Denny and the Gonzo Fest production team, which includes Lauren Hendricks, Derek Podolsky, Nick Gehring, Mike Maloney, Jake Mahaffey, and David Nichols. That's the main team right there. And we've got Nick Storm, who filmed last year's festival. The Gonzo Fest 2014 documentary is completed. That will have a showing. We've got a sneak preview coming up March 21st at the Monkey Wrench. That'll be followed by a couple of bands. And Ryan Case, one of our official Gonzo Fest artists, his art exhibit will open at the Monkey Wrench that night. We just had Grant Goodwine's official art opening at Revelry Boutique Gallery down on East Market a week ago. Two incredible artists. But April the 5th, we got pre-festival events happening at the Monkey Wrench that night, including the world premiere of Gonzo Fest 2014 documentary, Nick Storm's documentary. Nick has Storm Generation Films, which he's working on. Hopefully it'll be released this fall. Outlaw Poet, a documentary on yours truly, Ron Whitehead. He's been working on that for years, and it's got some heavy hitters in that. We got some secret information that'll be revealed soon about that documentary. Some incredible stuff that's in the works right now. Okay,
Um,
that's the first question.
Yeah.
What's,
well,
my
you-
kids used to say when I didn't find out till they were grown up, I got 3 grown kids and 5 grandkids and 2 godchildren. I got another grandkid on the way. Well, my kids used to tell their friends when they're bringing a new friend over, whatever you do, don't ask Dad any questions. We won't have time to play. So I'll be brief on the next.
Well,
response.
actually, with that,
We
you
covered
answered
everything?
like a lot of the,
Oh,
like
good.
3 or 4 of my first
Good.
questions.
Good.
I guess what I'm going to ask is, what do you think Hunter would say about all this going on?
Wow, that's a
Statues.
great question. Great question, because so many people have said, what a bunch of bullshit. Hunter he would despise, he couldn't stand Louisville, he hated Louisville, he couldn't stand all the publicity. Hunter knew that he was a great writer. He would, and I'll tell you what, I know from firsthand experience, he loved the 4-hour tribute that I produced. Ask Anita. He talked about it for the rest of his life. So I got him the keys to the city,
Right.
with help. I mean, I did everything, all of it with help. I've done everything. I've done everything my own way and on my own, but I couldn't have done it without mentors and with people who have helped me along the way, and I'm thankful for every one of them. And I know Hunter was too, but I got Hunter the keys to the city from the mayor. We got, that night I made December 12th, 1996, Johnny Depp, Hunter S. Thompson, Warren Zevon, Douglas Brinkley, and David Amram and I all became Kentucky colonels. It was after that Johnny and Hunter started referring to each other as Colonel Depp, Colonel Thompson. Hunter he always loved Louisville, and he hated the way he was treated, the way he was run out of
Right.
town. And he had a lot of anger, rightfully so, about that. And I've got some, as part of my keynote address for Gonzo Fest 2015, I got I got a secret of some good news related to Hunter's being run out of town. That's really healing, I think, that I'll share with everybody at Gonzo Fest. But Hunter would be really happy, and I know he is wherever Hunter is. And he still calls me. I went through several months when when Johnny Depp was staying with him, and they were preparing for the film Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and I was preparing to produce the tribute. That I would get calls usually from 2 to 6 a.m. From Hunter and Johnny, and I was usually about the time I'd be getting ready to have my regular 2 hours of sleep a night. I went for 20 years on 2 hours of sleep a night, every night, because I'm driven with so much passion, living and being my dream. And so just as soon as, Hunter just like, he had some kind of a sensing device. He knew that as soon as I laid my head on the pillow, hey, just wake that son of a bitch up. And so then the phone would ring. And so, how are you going to turn down a call like that?
Right.
So a lot of those nights, I didn't get any sleep at all. But Hunter would love it. I don't care what anybody says. Hunter's happy about it. And he'd say, well, it's about damn time. And I agree with him completely. Yeah. Thank you for inviting me to do this.
Thank you for coming down from Louisville.
All
Meet
right.
me here in Lexington
All
Comedy
right.
Center, Ron. It's been a pleasure. It's been great.
Good to see you,
Good to
Cody.
see you again.
All right.
Perfect. I think I
Okay.
had about 29 minutes on my camera, and it's where we're at.
Oh,
So-
good. Good time.